Live. Yep. All right. Welcome to the Living Late Podcast. Blah, blah, blah. Welcome to the Living Late Podcast, episode 6. All right. This is the official podcast of the Nivlak 57 YouTube channel.
What are we going to do after 10?
I don't know. I haven't put a lot of... I was actually thinking about that the other day. I was like...
We could do a Wilburn sign.
Yeah, maybe we'll start doing signs.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilburn's been busy getting ready for his event.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know it, the No Name Nationals is an event that's coming up in September at Sykeston.
I guess that's our next big... No, LS Fest.
LS Fest, yeah, because we got bad news today.
Yeah.
Very sorry to hear that they're going to cancel the Atlas Nationals because of weather. I appreciate Eric taking the time to evaluate what's best for the racers, and I know that's got to be a painful decision to make.
Yeah, when you got people traveling from very far distances for a one-day event, it's very challenging to, accommodate, people who could cancel their plane ticket, if you tell them now, versus, if you tell them, 12 hours before the event, there's people who are, out a bunch of money because, you didn't tell them early enough in advance, but oftentimes you don't know what the weather's going to be until the day of. Yeah. So it sucks. I feel really bad for Eric. I know he's put a ton of energy into trying to make all this stuff happen and get everything coordinated and try to build up some hype, and
a lot of sponsors he's got to answer for and and it's on your end. You worked your butt off trying to get ready, getting an engine into a car.
Yeah,
doing a lot of testing.
I could kind of take them through the saga of we were trying to bring, as I call it, ketchup and mustard. My Camaro and his Camaro. Mine's red, his is yellow. So we were trying to bring those originally, but we ran my Camaro, and you'll see this in a future video soon. We ran it at the Race for the Ronald's house at Maple Grove, and unfortunately, I hurt something. I don't know what I hurt. I've done compression checks, leak downs, bore scope, and I can't see where the problem is, but there's something wrong. It won't make... It used to take 6 seconds for it to hit the two-step. Now it takes 20 seconds. So it's just either something in the transmission's getting tight or something in the engine's starting to go. So it does make power. Once it starts making boost, it makes power.
That thing flies.
But
can I brag on you?
Yeah, I guess you could spoil a little bit, build a little bit of hype.
No. If you want me to hold off, I will.
You can tell them what the trap speed was.
Well, okay. I want to talk about your interval time.
Oh, okay.
So, dear old dad sitting on the starting line filming, knew something special was happening there, and 168 miles an hour was crazy speed. Mm-hmm. But what was more exciting to see was the top end charge, the interval time. It ran at 2.90 seconds from the 8th mile to the quarter mile. And that is good enough to be a 790. So get the bottom half of the track sorted out, and the package is getting there, folks. We're hoping to see a 7-second door slammer out of the car, and as far as we know, no one has ever run a 7-second door slammer ET with an Atlas. So it's
they've done it in dragsters, they've done it in altereds, but they have not done it in a door car. So
And a heavy door car at that. You
Yeah.
know, it's 30, just short of 3,100 pounds is nothing to sneeze at. And 168 miles an hour, you're talking consistent 1,300 horsepower passes that the car's got multiple 164 to 168 mile an hour passes at this point, and I suspect it's not in the engine. I think it's something turbo or blow off valve or wastegate related. And the testing continues, but at some point we know that we're going to have problems with the engines. We're going to continue to push them, but that gets us back to mustard. I guess we can share that too.
So Dad has the All-American Supra, as we call it. It's the 2010 Chevy Camaro SS that we did back in
23.
Yeah, 2023. Yep. It was just after the. Was it just after the wreck?
Yes, that was the first big project we started working on because I was still hobbling and not able to move my arm when I was welding up the firewall.
Yep.
But knew we wanted to get to the track, knew I was going to get back to the track, knew we were going to do a 750. And the car came with a lot of stuff, but we got it because the back end was crushed.
Yep.
And
so we swapped. We took the LS3 that was sitting in the engine bay, and we took that out, and then we put a Trailblazer engine into it, and not a V8, the inline six Trailblazer engine. The good Trailblazer engine. So we were very gracious to receive that from a friend, and Jeff Weiser, he's one of the people who inspired us to get into the 4200 platform. He has probably one of the first 4200 swaps ever. It was a 69 Camaro, black. If you've looked up 4200 stuff before and you've seen the CarCraft article, you've probably seen the car. And he sent us his engine out of that car because he wanted to see what we could do with a built engine. And we made 1,004 wheel horsepower with it.
Yep.
And unfortunately,
it did very well on 6 Summer.
Yep. Went 920.
I thought it was 933 was the quickest there. No, that was the Atlas event. So it was
that was at Beaver.
Oh yeah.
Well, it went 35 at Atlas Nationals. It went 33 at Beaver.
Yep.
And then you won an 885 at Maple Grove. Was that at the race for the Ronald's house?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that was at the event we were at a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was the American Muscle Show.
Yep.
So went 885 at 154. 54.
Yep.
And that's a 3,700 pound car.
3,650.
Yeah, 3,650 with driver.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it has a blown head gasket. So we have been suspecting there's something wrong with the thing. Not really.
I think it just lifted it and it set it back down.
It's not like it's not making power.
It makes stupid power.
But we just, it was leaking coolant sometimes, and it was like, we don't know where it's coming from. And we finally got it up on the lift, and we could see little evidences of some areas where it
some
clearly
vapor
was
trails
leaking.
from the combustion gases definitely made it out.
Yep. So those two cars were basically out unless we wanted to just take them to show. So my Fairmont, the 5-cylinder car, which is actually a topic I wanted to get to, regardless, the 5-cylinder in the car, if you guys saw the most recent update on that car, it just got swapped to an AR5 manual transmission, and I said that I was going to start to reel it back a little bit on that car. We don't need to be making 1,000 horsepower with the thing like we had been in the past, and so I put an AR5 in it just to kind of spice it up, make it a little more fun to drive on the street. But on the very last pull of that episode with the manual swap, I didn't tell you guys, but I probably because I hadn't discovered it until after I finished the video. But it lost. It was starting to not have as easy of a time making oil pressure. So it went from 90 pounds of oil pressure at high RPM to like 20 pounds of oil pressure, and it was just on the last pull. It was real short, and I was looking over the data. I'm like, that ain't right. So I tried a dozen different products thinking that the pressure regulator had stuck or something dumb like that. I tried a Hot Shot Secrets sent us a bunch of products. They sent us their Stiction Eliminator, and they sent us their Stick Fix. I think it's Stick Fix. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I tried both of those thinking it was the pressure regulator was getting stuck in the full bypass position. And it didn't seem to improve it at all. And finally, it was time to just tear the thing apart. And my plan was just to put a stock 5-cylinder in its place. We were hoping to put a 3.7 in it, but unfortunately, the one that we had, it had a spun rod bearing.
Uncle Rodney had come to visit.
Yeah, so we stuck a bone stock 3.5 liter in it, and that's what I've been fighting with for the past week or so, trying to get it ready for the Atlas Nationals. But we did tear apart the built 3.5 that was previously in the car, and we discovered why it was not making oil pressure. And that is because of this thing right here. This is your timing chain guide. And I wish I could show you the picture. Maybe in the podcast edit, I'll put the picture of the pickup tube. It basically, this thing fully disintegrated, and it was putting little bits and pieces,
spaghetti strings,
into the oil pickup, and the pickup was just about clogged, and that's why it was not making oil pressure. Now I've gone like fully deep dive onto why this part failed, and I discovered that on K-series engines, they have the same issue where their timing chain guides are definitely a big time wear item on them. And I found out that the K-series engines were offered with 2 different materials for the timing chain guides. The early engines featured a darker colored material, and the later engines featured a lighter color material, kind of like this one. And turns out that the Atlas engines are the same way, and you can't get the older style material anymore. This is a funny thing. This is the only engine I've ever put a brand new timing chain guide in it, because most of the time I'm not worried about it. Most of the time I kind of look at it and go, it'll be fine. And, maybe it's because I'm cheap or because I'm lazy, but most of the engines that we have featured on the channel, or all of the engines we've done on the channel, have been just reusing the factory guide as it was. If it had 175,000 miles on it, it continued to ride. So this was a brand new timing chain guide, and turns out the brand new ones are junk. Now, I should say, if you're running factory RPM and you're not running alcohol-based fuels, you're probably okay without having the older style guide. But if you're exceeding either of those categories, you definitely do not want to run a new timing chain guide. We've definitely, after that, I went around and collected every single stock guide that we have. I came up with 8 of them, and they are in a special location, so that we will continue to use the factory guides. And just a little PSA for you guys out there: do not use this junk
What year? So that they know what to look for.
I don't know if it's a year thing. I think it's just an aftermarket, like an NOS. Well, it wouldn't be NOS. It would be like it's. I've never seen this guide material on any stock engine. I think it's just a aftermarket. Like GM now sells them with this junk. Um, most of the time when I buy parts, I try to get it direct from GM if I can. And I looked on GM's website, and it's this lighter colored garbage. So yeah, I don't know if it's a year thing, but I would just keep an eye out. If it has this lighter color junk, don't use it. You just go to the junkyard and get the good stuff.
So how does that apply to like the VK and the Honda stuff? Lessons learned. What do we, can we share with folks? Obviously, John Rogers is working with somebody to develop a good guide for the VK.
I talked to John Rogers because he recently had issues with the guides on his VK, and he didn't really have issues. It was starting to really degrade them at a very, very quick rate. He even had one fully pop out, and it was just riding on the aluminum. And he said it didn't even look like it did anything to it. He probably could have kept running it, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, but how much of that is because, one, he runs good parts, he runs good oils, and he is diligent about his maintenance? Did he catch it in time?
It probably was something he was checking regularly.
Because you can tell his program's on the up and up.
Yeah. He spins it to 10,000 RPM every single pass. So, he's definitely abusing it pretty good. But what he discovered is it's definitely like a methanol thing. Like the methanol gets into the fuel, and then it starts to break down the darker brown. Even the darker brown stuff doesn't like the methanol. It starts to soften it, and it doesn't like disintegrate like this stuff. It just gets kind of melty, and it starts to squish out and that kind of stuff. Like this stuff is like spaghetti string. Like this is just absolute garbage. Now,
what about ethanol? You said methanol, but what about ethanol?
And that could have contributed to what we saw here. I've only seen one timing chain guide on a teardown from like a high horsepower effort with our stuff, where it looked like the guide was starting to really degrade. It was starting to squish out. It was starting like at the ends. It was starting to like melt and get like strung out by the chain. And that was on my Fairmont with the engine that melted the piston. And
the one that had
the one that saw 8,300 RPM on the rev limiter like every single time I did a burnout in the car.
Every fuel issue known to man.
Yeah, it saw 43 pounds of boost, and it probably was more because it pegged the map sensor. That one.
Okay.
So that one saw very, very excessive abuse. I think once, with the red car, I'm kind of 50-50 on if we're going to start running methanol. I should say more 70-30, I should say, like pro towards running methanol. And that's probably going to start to be an issue on even the good guides. We'll have to explore that. John Rogers, he is now upgrading his stuff to, it's called PEEK or PEAK. It's a type of material. Apparently that's very good at standing up to methanol and alcohol-based fuels. But I don't know how expensive it's going to be. It's kind of an orange material. He's shown it. But yeah, I'm a little, with a VK, there's enough volume. There's enough people that want this product that he should be able to get enough volume to make it affordable. But the number of people that are running methanol on a, and 8,000 plus RPM on a 4200 is a very, very, very small number. So I think Leo is running methanol. So yeah, so there's not, maybe that number will grow over time, but right now that number is very, very small. So I'm planning to just keep running the brown, the older guides. Just run it,
guys. If you're gonna scrap an engine, you got to blow up. Pull that stuff out. That's something that you're gonna want to put on the shelf.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna keep running the factory stuff. We're gonna have to monitor it on a regular basis. But yeah, that's the current plan. So yeah. So this conversation was about getting ready for the Atlas Nationals, and then it transitioned to we got to the 5-cylinder, so the other car. So my Trailblazer, it's kind of down. It doesn't really make sense to take that one. And the only other car that we could have taken was the Sunbird, and the Sunbird we have plans of doing some really cool stuff with that, and it kind of would be a little inconvenient to buy a t-shirt. This is not one of our
you
t-shirts.
are not even in the man,
buy a t-shirt.
Dude, you need to be going over there and getting support the brand.
Yeah. So we have some cool plans with that, and it would have been a little inconvenient to train. We could have gotten it ready, but it would have been kind of challenging. So it's
at the end of the day, we're very disappointed for Eric and for the event and for the community that we're not going to be able to get together with everybody next weekend. But we applaud Eric for making that tough decision, because that is a tough decision. He put a tremendous amount of energy into improving that event and getting it ready. And, our heart goes out to him, because that call is very difficult to make.
Yep. So, all right. Looks like we have a few comments or questions.
That first comment that's up there is a biggie.
I see Matt from the Sloppy Mechanics YouTube channel is in the chat. How's it going, Matt?
IHRA. What's happening? What are our thoughts? And then Maple Grove. Maple Grove's going to survive, and I think whether they transition back to NHRA or whatever, ultimately is going to be a product of what happens with IHRA. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things to sensationalize what's going on there. I saw another YouTuber is chronically bashing IHRA, and I understand where he's going with that. It's certainly getting a lot of clicks, but the claim that Keystone Dragway immediately changed from IHRA to NHRA was simply a false statement. They had gone back to NHRA at the beginning of the season last year. They were DR, I forget what it was, but they were not NHRA or IHRA. They were, and I apologize for anybody who participates in that other sanctioning body. It starts with a D. They were that last year. They had gone back to NHRA. At the beginning of this year, they did not make a sudden transition when the fallout to the recent events started to happen. My hope is that he's able to bounce back and make a recovery and follow through on his dreams and his plans. But ultimately, the guy who's bought up all the IHRA assets, Daryl, yeah. Mm-hmm. But if he's not able to, a lot of these tracks are healthy enough that they're going to find another sanctioning body. Mm-hmm. If IHRA returns, obviously they've been a very sportsman-focused sanctioning body, and I think if they're able to recover, they're going to. But I don't wish any ill will. Our favorite track has been IHRA for a number of years, Beaver Springs, and shout out to Mike and Mikey. I'm sure that they're far more in tune with what's going on there, and they put on a tremendously family-friendly facility and operate it, and I know that they've got to be paying attention to it. So if you're in the area and you need to go racing, make sure you support those local tracks and all of them. But Maple Grove, we were there last weekend. They're aware of the situation, but I don't think they're going to be impacted by that whole situation.
Yeah, but there's some concerning stuff that is happening in the background that there's like, I don't know, it feels like this year's kind of a wash for them. They canceled the Top Fuel races.
Oh, IHRA, absolutely. Yeah, all the professional races are knocked out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as far as Maple Grove, I think they'll figure it out.
Yep.
But
same with Beaver, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, as far as IHRA goes, there's definitely some concerning stuff that's happening there. Seems like they can't seem to get a CEO or CFO, whatever it's called, that they can stick around for a long time. And it's I don't know how to feel about that. It's
I standing at a distance on that one. I wish the best.
Yeah, I think everybody wishes the best, but it's definitely, there's rumors of them not paying out, and and that's that's pretty dirty. So I don't know. It's it's sad.
Yeah,
it's about all I got to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can only believe half of what we hear.
Sure. Yeah.
Smart man only believes half of what he hears. A brilliant man finds out which half.
Yeah.
And the truth will come out. It's completely independent of anything that we can do about it.
I like this guy's username. His username is Kobayashi Magoo. Star Trek reference.
Okay.
He said, "Where is the VK swap?"
We are making forward motion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the big holdup for that has been the engine itself.
Yep.
Not sending any blame to anybody. It's just been quite the process to get it sorted out. And there's definitely been some delays there with parts suppliers. So we're working on it. We kind of have a plan of doing that build in stages at this point because we can't get certain parts quite yet. I'm hoping to be able to put the engine together this week or next week. And you'll see a video on that very soon. So
short block's done. Ben at Snyder Performance did that for us.
Fantastic job.
And we shared on earlier podcasts some of the trials and tribulations of new parts and having to go through getting pistons engineered and the delays associated with that. So that caused everything to just drift back in time. And then in an effort to continue to make content, obviously the Hot V came to the surface while we were waiting for parts to materialize. And there's folks that are producing parts that we want to incorporate into the build, and everything just got pushed.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, hoping to see forward progress.
Yep. Stephen Murphy, he asks, possible to give a Vortec 4200 Big Cam update this episode? Working on the pack lifter kit, ? I think Stephen Murphy is the guy who bought Sumner's Streamliner.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's who that is. We
Well,
can't really share a whole lot on the big cams.
Right, we have them, and
yeah.
we're making a plan to test them, but obviously the cars we were going to test them in both need a little bit of work.
TLC,
so
yeah.
we've got to get past that, and then the lifter kit will be developed for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do the testing, and then we'll share that with the public. So it's very frustrating to us that we can't make faster progress. But reality is I'm still working. Calvin's working his tail off and trying to make everything happen. And we've got 3 people's worth of work and one doing it, and then I'm coming home doing what I can. I got home tonight, and Calvin asked me to do some machining work on the lathe, and had to make a couple parts for him so that he could move forward on what he was doing. So, the contribution is there time-wise, but it's not at the level where we can get a lot of these projects and parts done as fast as we want to. But
I don't know. We get comments all the time from a lot of people that are like, I'm amazed at how fast you guys get work done. And, I think both of us are like, I feel like we're not getting work done nearly as fast as we would like. So, yeah. Pete Arrows asks, where is the North Star? It's in my 57 Chevy. It's coming, guys. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
L2HM Forever asks, what is the best VK56 to make power? Depends what you're going for. If you're trying to do a stock bottom end engine, and there's a couple different paths you can go. You can go with it's a 2004 to 2006 engine, the non-VVT.
That's the non-VVT engine.
Right. So those, if you don't want to deal with the complexity of the VCT or VVT, however you want to call it, those work great. I like having the engines that have VVT. If you want to put cams in them, they pretty much all require that you delete the VVT. So then at that point, it doesn't matter what engine you get. So it kind of depends on what you're doing and how you want to make that power, and what parts you want to put into the engine. So yeah, that's the answer to that one. Howdy from Ohio. Howdy. Bring one of your rides to Suds Greenwood, Indiana. I'm not to the Suds Greenwood. Is that like a car show or is that a racetrack? Saying hi from Florida to my favorite engineering YouTubers. Hello.
Florida. Hola.
2 heads are better than one. What are you saying? We needed to start doing V8s?
What's that?
He said 2 heads are better than one. What, you blow a head gasket on the one bank, then you got the other bank to continue to carry you through? I'd like to see y'all build out a 289.
That is in the future. That is going to happen. And that's a Ford 289. We are not doing a Studebaker 289.
No. My BMW E46 did that. The timing chain guides disintegrated and filled the engine with debris. Fun stuff. Yeah. Wait, that was a new guide? Yeah, that was a brand new guide. Yeah. That yeah. Can you 3D print one out of a stronger material? I would be concerned with the 3D print being able to hold up to the abuse that we're putting on it, getting the layer adhesion and all that right. Maybe if you did one of those like resin style printers, which I don't know if they make a resin style printer that would be able to print in the material that we would need. I was actually thinking about that earlier. Is maybe one of those resins or SLA or whatever it's called. Yeah. Yeah. New stands for never ever worked. Ain't that the truth.
Yep.
If I am correct, it's called polyethylene. Okay. I would love to know what the material is because yes, yeah. Hi, Mr. Nelson and Calvin. Hello. Well, are you guys going
Can you
to
3D something out of stronger material?
Yeah, I already has.
Okay, sorry.
Well, are you guys going to focus on the
Oh.
4-cylinder builds?
Hi, Colleen.
Are you guys going to focus on 4-cylinder builds for a while since all the 6s and 5s are broke? Hey, that's mean. Yes, we're going to do a 4-cylinder,
They're not
but it's
all
not because they're broken. Love your channel. God is good. Thanks.
Amen.
We are all planning on throwing money at Dallas for our yearly dues at the No Name Nationals in hopes he revives the AHRA.
Well, I'm up for that. I big fan of Dallas and what he's doing with the AHRA, and hope that yeah, we are anxious to see everybody there.
Yep. We got C3 Performance in the chat. Big shout out to those guys. They make a lot of really cool products for the VK56. They make an adapter plate to go to a Turbo 400 or 4L80E or whatever GM transmission you desire. Big shout out to them. They've helped us out in the past. So,
and we're going to be looking for another adapter. So we need to reach out to them.
For what? For what?
The mod?
Oh, I don't know if he does that. I'll have to ask him about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Thanks for entertaining me while I replaced the oil filter housing and water pump on my BMW B48. You're welcome.
Yes, Stephen Murphy. Be glad you didn't ship them out for the Lakester cams to the 266H. We are confident that what's coming is going to be better.
Mm. Yeah, it looks like Steven, he's the one who brought the Streamliner or Lakester.
Yeah.
I thought it was a Streamliner, but
no, it's a Lakester.
Is it? Oh, okay. Matt, we did shout you out, Matt. I said it earlier.
Like
Come
twice.
on, man. Go check out Sloppy Mechanics. All right. So I had some questions.
Hang on, Shane wanted an update on the Hemi. We haven't made forward progress on the Hemi project yet. We will at some point, but at this point, because of everything that's happening in the background, we're probably going to shoot for a 6 summer instead of 6 week. And we still need to source cams and those kind of things. We've got the Eagle engine. We've got plans on how we're going to build the car, and we've made some changes in those plans. But at the end of the day, the Hemi project is still on the list. It's just pushed back. We're hoping to get VK next.
Mm-hmm.
North Star's going to get some love.
Mm-hmm.
The Sunbird's going to get some love.
Mm-hmm.
We got to fix a couple cars.
Mm-hmm.
The Hot V has to continue to move forward. We're hoping to have that sorted out. We're looking for some help with turbos. The dyno session with that concluded with a realization that turbos are definitely a must.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another project that we're not ready to announce, and the Hemi then fits in behind that. So it's neat to have so many things planned, and it's frustrating to have so many things planned because we can only work on things until we're out of parts, and then you move to the next pile and try and whittle it down, and we're making progress. It's just slow.
All right. So normally in our podcasts we answer questions from the latest video. So I've gone through and kind of gathered some of the comments up. We received a lot of questions about, did you do a custom camshaft? So, well, let me start over. The latest video was the completion of the Hot V Supra, where we installed.
Did a burnout.
Yeah, we did a burnout, and we installed a set of twin turbos, which I saw a lot of comments of people saying, well, why didn't you go with a single? The whole, like, why wouldn't you, you got us merged all into one pipe. Why wouldn't you send it into a single? I've answered this a couple times, but basically it's just because I felt like it needed two turbos because it would look cooler. So that's why we went with two turbos. So a lot of people asked in the comments, did we have a custom cam made? The answer is no. It's a factory LS cam. It's not a factory. It's a aftermarket LS cam that's, commonly available. I would recommend that you go watch our previous videos on the build. I explain it much better there. All right. Next question or comment was the valve size. I explained that in previous videos as well. Yes, the new intake valves are now small and the new exhaust valves are now big, which is not what you want. And we've since dynoed the car, and yes, it does compromise the performance a little bit. We still made some decent power, and we had a few parts failures, not related to the engine, but you're going to have to wait and see what actually happens there. I'm working on editing the video. I was working on that before we started the podcast, so hopefully that one will probably be this Sunday. I don't think I'm going to do one of the other ones. I have the red car going to the track again and the struggles with that. That's going to be a video coming up. But yeah, we'll probably do the Hot V next. So you'll see the updates on that soon. Some people were just kind of like, why did you do this project? Beyond the sound, why? I mean, I've always, to me, sometimes like I like to think about, like, have little thought experiments, and it's kind of fun to take one of those thought experiments and actually do it and see if it works. There's a lot of people who like to what do they call it? Bench race. They like to bench race and think, well, what if you did this or that combo in my car? Well, we decided to, instead of bench race about it, let's actually do it and see what happens. I did not expect it to perform better than a factory LS, and it didn't. But we're having a lot of fun with it, and it's making some really cool noises. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, basically it was a because we can kind of thing. So some people commented about the intercooler / radiator placement. I saw one person say that isn't the radiator being so close to the intercooler going to heat soak the intercooler? No, I mean, maybe a little, but ideally you have some decent fans on the radiator that it's drawing air through the intercooler core. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of radiant.
There's potentially some, but every car out there that's got an intercooler on it has it mounted close and in front of the radiator, so it wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Yeah, and one person commented that like they were physically touching. They're not. I do need
Yeah,
to.
that's a good 3/4 of an inch
Yeah,
or so there,
yeah.
isn't there?
The one's a little close. I need to make a bracket to push it back. I actually haven't fully mounted the radiator at the top.
Mm.
It's just kind of flopping around there, just because you know
Burnouts and dinos.
yeah, we've been busy trying to make things happen. So, um, yeah, some people recommended adding a little more air gap or some ducting. Um, we'll see how it does. Right now, it's getting a little hotter than I'd like, but we also don't have the final fan solution for the car yet. So I kind of want to get that in place, and then we can start.
Yep.
If we still have a problem, then we can start
Well,
looking for
we
solutions.
got to find out if there's going to be any, the turbo may change a little bit of the piping, so everything's just going to compound upon itself to finalize everything. The ultimate goal is what we take to LS Fest is much closer to a finished product.
Mm-hmm. So some people were a little skeptical of the JB Weld, skeptical that it wouldn't hold up. I mean, what did we didn't use a high temperature JB Weld. It was just run of the mill like JB Weld, right?
Yeah, it was standard.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's worst thing that happened. What? It's all contained.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have asked. This is further down in my notes, but some people are asking about optimizing the project. Are we going to? Is this going to be it, or are we going to continue to optimize the project as time goes on? And yes, I would like to continue to optimize. Maybe someday we look at doing a good set of heads for it where the valves are the proper size, and it all is going to be dictated by what you guys want to see. If the view count is
up and the views go down,
if the
work goes down.
Yeah, if you guys stop watching the videos and you get bored of it, then that's where it's going to die. It's not going to die. It's still going to go out and do cool stuff, but we're not going to continue to develop it if you guys aren't interested in the project. So we'll see how that goes. I have a plan for a second revision of the exhaust manifold. We've talked about that here on the podcast before. So that's in the future for sure. But on the if we do a more fancy head in the future, we'll do something a little more elegant with the direct injection block off. I'll say that. Some people express concerns with the thermostat delete, questioning if it might prevent the coolant from spending enough time in the radiator and to actually shed heat. I've heard people talk about that before. I think that's a bunch of baloney. Like, some people are like, "Oh, you got to put a restrictor into the."
Well, that was very true once upon a time, but aluminum sheds the heat faster than a cast iron.
But like with our chillers at work, you get as much coolant flow through that thing. Like, the more coolant flow through there, the more heat transfer. It's just like you don't.
Once upon a time, the restrictors were very common because you needed to slow the flow down so that it had time to heat soak and transfer the
and I
heat
did
out.
I did install a thermostat delete, the kind that blocks off the coolant bypass into the system, and I don't really think it has much of a restrictor in it. But yeah, I've always been curious. Yeah, I mean, maybe with a brass radiator, it's more of a thing.
Don't know. I think there was enough problems with the older stuff and the fuel mixtures and everything is so much more technically analyzed today. The water pump speed to everything. Iron heads, there's so many factors that
Well,
come into play. I don't think it's
and like
we
if
don't
you
have a problem, so we don't spend time on it.
right, well, but like if you look at Jay Mayer from RS Garage, he developed a special like high flow water pump for the TJZ for
Hmm.
his. He went what 380 miles per hour or something
Something
stupid.
crazy,
Yeah.
but yeah.
He specially developed this water pump to flow more liquid.
How much of that is to get the any steam pockets or anything like that flushed out, as
I don't
opposed
know.
to the actual coolant capacity?
I don't know, but I would think more coolant flow, more better. Like,
It's got to have time to transfer, but I think the aluminum masks
yeah.
any problems that we
Well,
have, because cast iron engines are not going to flow the heat out of the block and into the coolant as fast.
yeah. Um. Okay. Yeah. I got in the notes about the single versus twin turbo. Some feel like the twins muffle or muddy the unique exotic exhaust note that we worked so hard for, while a single might have kept it crisper. I've not had
Nope.
that experience with any of our setups where the twin versus single has any effect on that. Um, I mean, on a conventional V8 where you have, um, maybe people are getting confused with like a conventional V8 where you have your two banks, and normally one bank goes to one turbo and the other bank goes to the other turbo.
Mm-hmm.
And in that situation, yes, you would muddy the sound because you are not combining the pulses of both banks. But in our case, we're still combining the pulses of both banks, and then we're splitting them apart to go to each turbo. So maybe that's why we get so many comments about that. Um, some people asked about the weight and the chassis, since it's in a Supra.
It's
The
porky.
total weight, and if it's the stock soft subframe can handle the added power of twins without ripping the differential out. Well, I'm not aware of any issues with that. Maybe I will become rudely aware of that in the future. I hope not. I was not aware that they had issues with tearing the differential out. But yeah, the Supra, it's a target top car. They are, I believe, they're 3,700 pounds from the factory, and we weighed it, and it was
3450
3450 with me,
with you in it.
with me in it. Yeah. So, I'm sure that a aluminum LS is a lot lighter than the 7M GTE that would have been in the car. And I'm sure all the turbo and plumbing and that kind of stuff would be a wash. I'm not really sure where did we take weight out of it? I don't think we really did.
Well, the engine basically is got to
the
be
transmission
lighter.
maybe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't think we took a crap ton of weight out of it. So
the air conditioning system is about it.
yeah, that's right.
The heater box
True,
and that
yeah.
kind of stuff, but no efforts were put into lightening the car up.
We took the
It's
ABS
just a
system.
heavy car.
Yeah, and we took a lot. This
400 pounds of wiring came out of it.
That's where I was going. Like, those cars have an insane amount of wiring in it. You would think it's a modern vehicle. It's retarded. It's just.
You got to take a picture of the wire pile.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It's stupid.
192 modules.
Yeah, there's so many modules. There's so many, like, bulkheads and fuses and, like, from a wiring standpoint, like, it's kind of, like, impressive. But from, like, a person who just wants to, like, fire the thing up and do cool hot rod stuff, it's, like, terrifying. It's just, like, why are there so many wires? Why? Like, I don't know. It's it reminds me of the 96 Corvette that you had that had like 15,000 modules in it that all had to talk to one another, or else it just like freaks out and explodes. It's just too much, like, it's too much crap. You just need to make it super simple. And then, if it's a modern vehicle with like modern electronics that like do cool stuff, then I'm okay with it. But like, anyways,
Hello in Connecticut.
some people recommended the name of Mighty Mouse or Mousetrap, since we discovered where Mr. Mouse came from in the previous video.
I like Mousetrap.
Speedy Gonzales.
Reba.
Fortunately, that one might be copywritten. We might have to avoid that one. Yeah. So that's all that I have in my notes. Let's go back to the live comments and pick up where we left off there.
Well,
all right.
So Matt's feeling pain because we're not giving him enough shout outs. So we'll have to do it a couple more times just to make sure he knows that he's getting plenty of love. We love you, Matt.
8-1 plan details, please.
The original plan was to put it in the 57 with a big old honking turbo and just make it do burnouts forever. We're not sure where that's going to end up,
Keep talking.
Okay.
I could hear a small amount of volume. I wanted to.
Oh, sorry about that.
Keep talking.
Right now it doesn't. It's not even on the list because we want to focus more on the Hemis and the some of these other projects, and so it'll rear its head at some point in the future, and I'm going to say that one's probably 2 years out, just guessing.
Yeah. You should play on a 2GR FE 6-cylinder, but if it's gonna be a 4-cylinder, do a K series, B series, also 4G, very cool engines. I'm not familiar with the 2GR FE, but yeah, the 4 cylinders, the K series, I'd love to potentially play with a K series or B series. B series apparently have become very expensive. The 4G, I briefly thought about doing one of one of them at one point, but no. I have some plans for some 4-cylinder stuff in the future, and it's going to be very unique. I think it's really cool that there's people doing a lot of really cool things with some of the more conventional options, but that's kind of not what we do here. So I appreciate the comment, but trust me, when we do it, you're going to be like, okay. It is cool, yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe it'll be that, but we'll see.
Off the wall question. I'm porting an 07 head for the Lakester now. Anyone ever try to fill the EGR holes? Those aren't EGR holes. Those are
secondary air injection hole. But yeah. I know what he means. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew what he meant. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make because it doesn't flow, and you can port past it in such a way that it's not going to be a negative in the port design.
There was on the Fiat. So we received some advice or a suggestion from somebody who seemed to have a reasonable amount of experience that possibly the cylinders talking to one another, being that all the ports are connected to one another, having the pulses from one cylinder travel down the secondary air injection and hitting the other cylinder could potentially be causing some issues. So we tried on the Fiat to plug off. We didn't plug it from the port side because that would be very difficult. But we plugged off. We took the little freeze plug or Welsh plugs, whatever you call them, out of the cylinder head, and then we plugged the port going into the cylinders individually. I forget how we did it. Did we weld? I think
no, I machined it, and then
I think I welded it.
Yeah, you welded the plugs that I machined.
Right.
So we tapped them in, and then you welded them.
And we didn't really seem to see any improvement on performance.
Yeah, it made 467 horsepower.
Yeah.
And that would be more indicative of what we saw with previous engines of similar vintage. And we were doing the, well, that had a little turbo, but we were doing the VVT on it. So the VVT was jacking the power up.
Yeah, because we made 440. I thought it was 442 or something like that with the Futura, but that didn't have VVT at that point.
But that was a later engine.
Right.
The early engine made 420 in your Studebaker on Matt's dyno.
Yeah.
Oh, another shout out to Matt.
Yeah,
see that?
Matt.
See how we worked that in?
Yeah.
And then 467 was at a later time, and I wouldn't attribute any of that to the air passages.
Yeah, I don't think we saw any improvement with that. And I personally, I don't see why you would plug them off. But yeah, I don't know. It might be worth a shot. I don't think you're going to see much improvement there.
You guys should collaborate with Brent at PFI. He's into everything, but obviously knows his Hondas. Brent is such an awesome guy. We run into him on a regular basis down at World Cup and at PRI, and what an awesome guy.
Yep. Yeah, he's one of my favorite people in the hot rodding community. You can see he definitely wears his heart on his sleeve. Yep. He's a very emotional guy.
Hard worker.
Yeah, very hardworking, loves his kids, and he's just very positive. And I would love to. It would be cool if when you guys did the 4 to compare it to a K20, K24, as far as head flow, flow stock imported, are you guys doing cams for the 4 also? And how much does the 4 weigh with full accessories? I'm not sure what it weighs. We'll have to weigh it when we do it.
It'll be natural to compare it.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be comparisons that I'm sure I'm gonna be doing a lot of that.
We'll start with stock cams.
Yep.
The stock cams in the 5-cylinder went 8s.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to be said about cam timing, not just cam profiles. Obviously, you make more power, but until we extinguish all of our efforts on trying to make the power with the thing with stock cams, we don't know where that project will end up. If we're making 1,000 horsepower with stock cams, we're not putting aftermarket cams in it.
Mm-hmm. First recording I've been able to catch next week. It's back to college for me. I can't believe it's that time already. Huh?
Yeah, summer's over.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good luck at college.
Yes, and thanks for tuning in.
Yep. My buddy Nate says 5 seconds into the stream, and I just opened up, and Calvin said retarded. You're welcome. Hey, always looking forward to seeing what you're doing. Detroit, Michigan. How's it going? Okay.
No, we're not going to put a Vortec 4-cylinder into a C4. But we're going to...
maybe.
Oh, my word. No.
Any plans to build a 4-cylinder Atlas? Yes, we've talked about it quite a few times here. Yes.
LTV6, yes. Definitely want to do one of those in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to. do one of those V6s.
Yep.
But the problem is, for whatever reason, those V6s, they bring way more money than the V8s. Like you can get a 5.3 for like $200, like a Gen 5 LT 5.3, because like nobody wants them. I was actually talking to Dustin, the Dino guy, as you guys know him, earlier today about that. You can pick up a 5.3 for nothing, a Gen 5, because everybody knows of how much more of a struggle they are to get to work than an LS. In my opinion, it's worth it. But you look for a V6 and you can't find one for less than like 1,500. It's ridiculous. If you're an engine sound guy, try a Subaru EZ30. Is that the flat six? Those sound pretty cool. I'm a fan.
Here's a funny question. Love your content. Any plans on going to New Media Dragway anytime soon? I definitely want to get there. You know, it's crazy. I've raced in more tracks in Texas than I have in Pennsylvania.
You said New Media?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I've raced, 5 different tracks in Texas, and I haven't even raced in all the tracks in Pennsylvania.
Yep. What's going on, guys? Sad to hear about the Atlas Nationals. Was excited to see y'all again. Need some pointers on the Miata. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize your username, but I know who you are. Yeah, I was actually talking to Kevin earlier. He said you were looking for a connecting rod for the 5-cylinder. Send me a message. I'd love to help if I can. Who's got the most reliable turbo? We haven't blown a lot of turbos up.
Bullseye
but reliable.
It has reliably produced good numbers. We have gotten turbos from other companies that we don't have mechanical issues with them, but they have performance issues. They don't produce the temperatures for the boost that matches our packages. I
would agree with that. I'm just like, when you say reliable, I think of it braking. So
when I think reliable, it's performance and failure. Yep. And out of the box, the Bullseyes have been the best.
Yep.
And out of the box, there's some of them we will never use again.
Mm-hmm. You should make it up to Alaska Raceway Park. That would be pretty cool.
That's going to happen someday.
Looking to replace a 4.3 V in a 98 Sonoma. Got any ideas? You mean like doing an engine swap?
So the Vortec 4.3 that has is going to be the conventional small block design. And I would definitely want him to see if he would do the 4.3 LT.
That would be cool.
That's
a 4200 swap it too.
Nah, the engine bay is probably not long enough.
5-cylinder.
Yeah, that or 4-cylinder. 4-cylinder would be cool in that. Because that would shorten it up, the length would be right, and your valve cover's not going to cause as much problems with this hood.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys... I can't get rid of...
Perhaps the question reframed as, which turbo has the most consistent performance-wise? Yeah, so that would definitely be Bullseye.
Yep. Did we talk about Maple Grove already? Yes, we already have. We are confident it's going to stay in business. We are confident that it's going to stay in business. We enjoy going to that track, and shout out to everybody that participated in last week's event. We had the charity event that we participate in each year, and have the privilege to be part of the behind the scenes part of that in providing parts and helping to make trophies. And banner year for the fundraising. The attendance was very good. The atmosphere was outstanding. The track personnel were fantastic. They contributed to the positive atmosphere that we got to experience there, and that culture within that organization is not going to change no matter what banner's hanging on the front door.
Yeah, I was extremely impressed with the I don't know if it was what class it was, but the bracket racers, I was blown away with how consistent those cars were, and there were so many of them. Like, in bracket racing, you're trying to cut as good of a reaction time as you can, and you're trying to run the number that you say that you are going to as closely as you can. And it was like every single car was like within 2 or 3 thousandths of running the number that they put on their dial-in. And I was blown away with how efficient they were with getting the cars into the burnout box and through the track. They had 0 oil downs the entire day.
Yep.
And it was just like some of the, they call it the package, they got an 8 thousandths package or whatever.
Well, there were guys running 1 thousandths packages. Yeah, it was
fantastic. 000 light with a 1 thousandths, off their dial-in. Like,
but at the same time that they were running that class, like a professional bracket class, they were able to step their program to when the beginners came up and be patient with them and work with them. And there was some staging issues. There was some vehicle issues, and they did not lose their mind. It was what a great experience. A huge shout out to Maple Grove. Huge shout out to
John
Rose and
Nikki
for all their efforts in the sport for the Ronald House. It's what a great event.
Yep. Which turbo has the most bang for the buck? I would say it depends what you're going for.
Yeah.
VS Racing definitely has the best performance for the buck. But if you're going for a particular sound, the forced performance stuff, I was very impressed with how cool they sound. They're a little bit more expensive, but they sound really good. So I would say it's kind of
But all-out power, I think the Bullseye still...
Well, yeah, all-out. If you're looking for all-out efficiency, the Bullseye stuff can't be beat. But you're also going to pay good money for that. So he's asking bang for the buck. So... yeah, you guys will love this. I signed up for the I-57 Dragon Drive early September, and I still don't have the 4200 in the car yet. Well, good luck. I hope you're working on the car while you're listening to us. Have you guys compared the sound of the dual chamber intake on the 5-cylinder to a regular intake? We have not.
Nope.
Wait, are you... oh, okay, you're talking to somebody else.
Yep.
They
have pistons for the 2.9 and 3.7 now, but do they have a connecting rod that works? Because the 2.9 and the 3.7 had a different wrist pin, and the aftermarket connecting rods that are available have the wrist pin that matches a 2.8 and a 3.5. So
I would imagine they probably set it up with the pin for the 905 pin. If I had to guess, I haven't really looked into it.
Definitely needs to be looked into before somebody spends money.
Well, yeah.
Because if you get a good piston
for
and
us,
not a good rod, that's a problem.
Yeah, for us, we have lots of 4200 parts laying around, so that's why we haven't explored the 2.9 or the 3.7. Hello, Calvin. What transmission is the most apt choice for the Vortec 4200 at 800 horsepower? That can be easiest to swap with the stock 4L60 in the Trailblazer. Thanks. I mean,
they all have problems.
Yeah, they all have problems.
Are you doing a lot of highway driving? You're going to want to do a 4L80E.
Yeah, and that's a very
8 HP.
Well, and that's like a very difficult question to answer, because are you doing that 800 horsepower at 6,000 RPM? Are you trying to run factory cams? Or are you going to do it with aftermarket cams and rev it to 8,000 RPM? Because that's a different transmission build, we'll say. So as far as interchanging with a 4L60, I mean, probably a 4L80 or a Turbo 400, but you're going to have, if you start revving them a lot, you're going to have a lot of money in billet parts trying to make that happen. I know the transmission that is in the my Camaro, it's a 4L80E, and it has quite a few, like the direct drum. It's a ProMod Sprag. It's a billet aluminum direct drum, which that's the common failure point on them. It has all the upgrades, all the bells and whistles you can think of. It's probably a $5,000 transmission, if I had to guess. A billet valve body, it's more of a race transmission than a street transmission. The 8 HP, I would probably push you towards that. It's not the easiest swap. You need adapter plates, you need a different drive, or a completely different concept for your drive shaft. It kind of depends what you're going after. It's definitely going to be more fun. It's not going to integrate into the factory electronics as seamless as a 4L80E would. So, I don't know. I guess I would say a 4L80E. If I was just to give you a blanket, what I would recommend, I'd probably say a 4L80E, but it would probably be pretty expensive depending on how you do it, because then you could use the factory TCM. I don't know. The 6L80, I guess, is something that should be part of the discussion. True Blue Motorsports offers a swap package for putting them into the Trailblazer, and that's pretty seamless. I'm just not a huge fan of that transmission because they're kind of expensive to build. As compared to a 4L80E, because I'm normally at 800 horsepower, you could probably make that last in stock form. So I feel like I haven't answered your question very well, but I guess I would say 6L80 or 4L80, but it kind of depends what you're doing. So yeah.
Hi, Hobbers.
Hello. Could you please share if the insurance company was able to make you whole when the Lark was taken, and will there be another Lark? No, they did not reimburse me at all for the Lark. That was the only car that I did not have theft coverage on my insurance, because I figured nobody would be stupid enough to steal it because it's so recognizable, and I just never really even thought that somebody would steal the truck, trailer, and car all at once. So yeah, I didn't get a dime for that. So yeah, I mean, that was my own dumb fault. So, it is what it is. Will there be another Lark? Probably.
Yes.
I'm dating myself, but Have you ever seen the cartoon Danger Mouse? Might be a good nickname for the project. I have not seen that, but I'll have to check that out. I'm starting to feel cheated. We can finally make good, dependable, affordable horsepower, and my arthritis has crippled me. But this may have saved me because if I had all that horsepower, I would hurt myself. Well,
Sorry about the arthritis.
yeah, sorry about the arthritis, but hope you're getting out there and doing what you can when you can.
You don't have to go blistering fast to enjoy it. Quite frankly, a 10-second car is way faster than most people realize, and it's very enjoyable to race that. 11s are very enjoyable. A good 12-second pass every now and then is not so bad. So, do what you can. Don't sit on the bench and sit on the sideline. Do what you can, and if it's not as grand as what it could have been in the past, it make peace with that, because life's short. Enjoy what you can, get what you can out of it.
They think we're wearing the same shirts that we did on last podcast. I know I am, and it was not intentional, but
I did.
It's a comfy shirt. I don't know.
It's possible.
Are you keeping an eye?
It's my favorite shirt. It really is my favorite shirt.
Yeah. Are you keeping an eye out on the custom ECUs 4200 Atlas to 10L 10R80 O2 Silverado development truck? I've heard whisperings of somebody putting a 10L80 behind a 4200. I haven't really deep dived into it, or deep dive, whatever. I haven't really taken a deep dive into that setup. The 10L80 is certainly attractive to me, but in pretty much anything that we would do, I'm not sure how you would make it work, because there's some aftermarket controllers out there. Pretty much, I would say almost on anything that we do, I would not be the kind of guy that would run a factory controller on almost anything these days, just because they have so much bloat. I know Fuel Tech, I think, offers a controller for them. But yeah, I haven't really been keeping tabs on that build, because I don't really have a ton of interest in trying to make a factory controller work, just because I know how painful it can be. So yeah, I I hope that doesn't come across the wrong way. It's neat. It's just not something I have a ton of interest in. I know there's a few people trying to make other controllers work on the 4200 and that kind of stuff, but it's all cool stuff. But we've kind of found a formula that works for us, and yeah, we're gonna keep doing it. So, gotta say thanks to Mr. Fat Bubba once again. He gave 10 gifted memberships in the last podcast.
You rock, dude.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. All right. Stephen Murphy says, thanks for the air injection head porting advice. I'm just doing a glorified gasket match like I've done with small block Chevys, so I'll save the time and keep it simple. Yeah, that's probably what I would recommend.
Yep. You can get a lot out of doing a lot of blending work in the bowl area and getting the valve unshrouded with what's down in that area. But yep, that's good move.
I sensed a dad joke opening. Why haven't aliens visited our solar system? The reviews all said 1 star. Ha.
Yeah.
Ha. I like that. That's such a stupid joke.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
But I love it. Calvin, do you or your dad ever do builds for other folks? We have. I'm not interested in doing it again. I'm sorry.
There's not enough time at this point.
Yeah. When you started working on the VK56s, did you consider the Toyota truck V8s, the 2UZ, the 3UR? If so, what were the reasons you landed on the VK? I certainly did consider the Toyota V8s. A lot of them are open deck, which is no thanks. And based on what I saw, I believe it was a video that the guys at the Skid Factory put out on Toyota V8s versus Nissan V8s, or Nissan V8s, however you like to say it. They say Nissan. They say Nissan, not Nissan. They say Nissan.
Crickets. There's people who don't know how to pronounce Willies.
Willis.
What a... Oh my gosh.
So, based on the videos that I saw from those guys, pretty much the consensus was the V8, the Nissan V8 is far superior, and based on what they showed in the video, I agreed. Not saying we'll never do a Toyota V8. I could see maybe doing a 5.7 or something like that someday.
Yeah, it's coming, but it's 15 engines deep in the list.
We got a lot of really cool ideas coming up, and yeah, we don't need the distraction at the moment. We'll wait for them to get a little older and a little cheaper, hopefully. I'm gonna throw all you guys off. We're gonna get you guys all onto the Nissan platform, and then we're gonna switch gears and get a Toyota, and you guys will be like, "Wait, it's all been a diversion." Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. I get out and fix. Hang on.
That was the gentleman with the
Good.
arthritis.
Yeah. Well, keep at it.
Yep.
You guys are running the 11.5 to 1 pistons. No, we are not. We're running 10.5 to 1. I see that they are now starting to come out with, I think it's a 10.5 to 1. Yep. You're talking about the Weisco pistons for the 4200. I would probably shoot more towards that if you're running a boosted vehicle. Yep. But yeah, we're running 10.5.
Yeah, they took a survey at the time that they were going to introduce the pistons, and we weighed in heavy about going with the lower compression ratio, yep. And
they've gotten to it. So.
They've went with the higher compression ratio, and
yep.
I would guess that the demand was definitely, pushing the lower compression.
Yep. Is building a trans with aftermarket gears, shot peen, etc. worth it compared to going with a different trans? Been running through transmissions in my RX-7, and they are all 30 years old. Cost versus longevity.
The shot peening is not the direction to go. You can cryo, whatever that is. Yeah. Those, you can rem coat them, but at the end of the day, a 30-year-old transmission has 30-year-old metallurgy. The modern transmissions and the modern metallurgy are so much better. It stopped chasing your tail.
Yeah. Well, you kind of got to that point with the Muncie transmissions, didn't you?
Well, now everything's made with better metal and better today's. But you go back in time, we were going through Muncie's like they were free. I used to have 3 or 4 stacked up all the time because you would break them so fast. But
when you started, we're talking about land speed racing. When Dad first got into land speed racing, you were like a big shaft M20, right?
That's what we started with, yeah.
You were like, oh, how can you break a big shaft M20? And, maybe you could share your journey on that a little bit.
Ultimately, because you're breaking traction at high speed and coming back into full power after unloading, we were twisting input shafts on the 31 spline input shaft.
26.
That's the other.
Input is
Yeah,
26.
Sorry, yes, you are right. 26 spline input shaft. We were stretching the case. We've, the aftermarket case has a much thicker bulkhead, so it won't split apart.
Mhm.
And all aftermarket gears, and gone to the high nickel and the straight cut gears, but not all transmissions have that level of support. So, to get to the questioner's comments, the RX-7, that's 30-year-old stuff. I would, if there's another option, I would pursue it. If there's not another option, then, rem coating is going to help. The cryogenic treatment of the gears is going to help. But the shot peening is going to have very limited value. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
Yep. Yeah, I would say getting something that's newer and more sustainable would be smart. I'm sure if it's a rotary RX-7, maybe you could get something with more gear ratios available or more favorable gear ratios for what you're doing as well. So,
Yep.
Yeah. Nissan for me. Yes,
Yep.
Nissan.
Yep.
I'm considering to design a full racing chassis as my final graduation project. I don't know if I'll be able to finish or to be able to build it though. Well, the only way to figure out if you can do it or not is to try. So get out there and try.
Yep.
I pronounce Nissan Datsun just to mess with people. I like that pronunciation.
That's exactly. Yep. I like that.
Yeah,
Michael Blacktree.
What
Love
you
it.
talking about, Willis? Any updates on the custom heads with swapped valve seats for the Hot V? No updates. We're going to keep running it the way that it is for now. We have run it on the dyno. Stay tuned for that. Question for Andrew. How is long-term recovery going? It's really good to see you looking healthy and mobile.
Still struggling. As a matter of fact, I'm not having a good night. I'm in a lot of pain tonight. My shoulder is bothering me, but that's because the current project out in the shop, I was swinging a hammer for an extended period of time. So, the good news is that I've got function. That was the biggest obstacle that the doctors said that I would have, and the amount of effort that went into the physical therapy definitely paid dividends for that recovery. I still have to get my hip replaced. I'm waiting to do that for as long as I possibly can, but that is slowing me down probably more than anything at this point besides the pain in my shoulder. But I have full mobility. The lungs have healed. The broken ribs have healed. The broken vertebrae has healed. My eyes have healed. So, short of those two things, it's been good. God is good. God is good.
What brand of guide do you use? The factory GM ones. He's going to pull his out of the scrap pile. Do that.
Yes.
What is the best digital dash for Max ECU? I would say a can checked ECU or that digital dash. I'm a big fan of them. He also asks, do you recommend this ECU for the VK56 Atlas 4200? Absolutely. We have a link ECU on the VK56 that is in the Fairmont. It works. It's a little clunky. It's a bit of a struggle because you kind of get used to a particular product and then like you try another one, and sometimes it can be a little jarring. And I would say I'm definitely there with the Link ECU right now. It's just, I don't know. It's like all ECUs tend to do things in sort of a similar way. They're all in this nice grouping of like they kind of do stuff similarly. And then like Link ECU's like way over here. It just everything's just a little different or a little weird or a little like just I don't know. It's just a little annoying. I really don't like that they don't give you one of the things that makes an ECU or a brand of ECU that you want to use attractive or the tuning software is very important. This thing keeps blowing out. Okay, the tuning yeah, I keep blowing it out. Let me move it further away. Hang on. The tuning software for an ECU is very important. And the tuning software, the Link ECU otherwise functions fine, but the tuning software has been my least favorite part with the Link ECU. So if you don't have a tuner that's comfortable with it, or you're not comfortable trying to learn it, I would tend to stay away from that. The Max ECU stuff has been my favorite so far. It has by far the most customization. I've heard some people complain about the tuning software with it. I've not had any struggle with that. So yeah, I don't know. Your mileage may vary. I wish Holly would support VVT control. They support it for the Gen 5 LT engines, and if they would allow us to turn it on for the Atlas or even just the LS engines, it would be cool to run Holly stuff on the 4200 stuff. I don't know. It's for me. I've never been able to get a car to run like I can with a Holly. A Holly, if you want drivability and you want it to start up and idle and do normal car things and do it consistently and get good results like that, Holly is the best by far. Now, if you're doing weird stuff, like you want to do some crazy CAN bus stuff, or you just need something that's more of a motorsport type thing and bang for the buck, I would probably point you towards a Max ECU. The value for what you get there is very good. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. For the VK, yeah, I would definitely say a Max ECU would work well for that. Our next VK56 build is going to have a Holly on it, though. The Talon, we're planning to put a Holly onto that project, just to show you guys that you can do that. And I'm excited to see how well it performs. Yeah, hopefully that wasn't too much of a rant. To drive revenue, would you consider raffles on some projects once they have been completed? What you set out to do? Probably not. I'm not first of all, like the raffles, like the ones that they do on Facebook, that's actually illegal. That's an illegal lottery. So I would definitely not consider doing that. If you're talking about like the sweepstakes or like the giveaways that some channels do, where they sell merch and they give you entries to enter to win their car, I'm not a huge fan of that either. I think it's gambling. Like it just is. It's gambling, and I'm not a huge fan of what gambling does to some people. I think it's morally wrong, and I'm just not really a fan. Like I played the I played the Powerball one time, and I went through this like roller coaster of like, oh, if I won, I'd do this and this and this, and oh man, it would be so cool because it was when the Powerball had gotten over $1 billion. One of the times that happened, and I went through this like roller coaster, and then like somehow I convinced myself that I was going to win, and then I didn't win, and then I was super depressed. And I think about people that go through that to some effect every single time they play the lottery. And it just makes me feel really sad because it's like they must really, really, really hate themselves. They must really hate their lives. They just want an easy path to get out of the reality that they're in. And the lottery is not that easy path. So I'm not really a big fan of putting that type of energy out into the world. So yeah, basically that's my my opinion on that.
Your rant.
Yes, there you go. You got another rant from me. Any thoughts on the 8 HP braking and long-term durability with a better output shaft considering the swap for a Honda swap Miata? Okay.
RPM would be a concern.
Yeah, so if you follow Scrap Life Lee, he recently did a K series with an 8 HP 70 into a Dodge Hellcat Charger, and he ran the factory CV style drive shaft. He didn't really seem to have issues with the output shaft. He had issues with the engine coming apart, and I was blown away with how reliable the transmission itself was. That did see a pretty significant amount of like glitter when they drained the fluid after those, I think it was 9,500 RPM pulls. So if you keep the RPM down, you might have a little more success with that. But yeah, Papa Nelson's way of measuring his health is the indication that he can or cannot swing a hammer for extended periods of time. He is America's most based dad. Yes.
I don't know about that, but if you're not willing to push through pain, you're not going to enjoy your 60s. It becomes your new norm, and you just have to take the attitude that this is normal and I'm going to push through it. But you know, swinging a hammer overhead as opposed to swinging it down, it was a mallet. So, I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but yeah, I could only go for, about 4 or 5 minutes at a time, and then I'd have to stop and get a little bit of relief, and then I could go at it again. And you'll see the product of that come soon. It's a project we've got coming that'll be in a future video, and I'm not gonna spoil that one yet.
Yep. Any reason you haven't dove into a 2900 project? We've actually answered this quite a few times on this very podcast. We plan to.
It's coming.
It's coming. Would you recommend the 4200 for road racing / autocross, or do you recommend another engine?
I would be hesitant.
I would too.
With the length of the engine and the oil control.
The center of gravity is going to be pretty far forward, and the center of gravity is going to be pretty high.
Yep.
So, I would certainly consider it. But if I was to recommend an engine, I would probably recommend. Obviously, it depends what you're doing.
Yeah,
if you're just building something for fun, go for it. If you're trying to build a class-winning car, maybe pick something with a little bit lower center of gravity, or something that you won't have to set the firewall back so far that you basically would be driving the car from the trunk. Would you be kind enough to sell your Link ECU startup tune for the BK56? I need to like post that somewhere because I'm a big fan of Matt from the Sloppy Mechanics YouTube channel. Big shout out to him again.
Go, Matt.
And I love how he just posts his tune on the Sloppy Mechanics wiki.
Yep.
So I need to figure out how to like just put that somewhere because I'm sure a lot of you guys could use it. All right, throwing a 3500 together. Would like to check the rod bearings, reuse bolts or new. If reused, do you just follow factory specs, or does the Sloppy Mechanics 55 pounds-feet for the entire bottom end like an LS? We normally reuse the bolts. We don't normally take the rods and pistons out of the engine. We kind of just run them as is, but we have access to E85 or flex fuel. We're typically not really taking them apart. Like the engine I just threw into the Fairmont, literally I didn't take the head off, didn't replace the valve springs, didn't replace the cams.
Came out of a junkyard.
It came out of a junkyard and it is now in the car. But yeah, normally if I do mess with the rod bolts, I just follow the factory specs and I have reused them. We've only done like 2 engines like that. Maybe only 1. I think it was one of the Datsun engines. Or maybe the Volvo. But you can see that rod right here, and it's still connected. So, yeah. Speaking of ECUs, have you guys ever looked into Russ EFI? I have, briefly. I think the guys, some of the guys who do the development through that for that have actually reached out to me. I have such a bad taste in my mouth from the Speeduino testing that I did years ago that like the open source ECUs like Russ EFI, I don't know. I'm not really interested in being a guinea pig for something that doesn't have a proven track record these days. I'd rather go with something that's a little more tried and true. Sure, it would be neat to be on the sort of the leading edge of something like that, but we're on the leading edge of enough things. Like I just want an ECU that works. We'll give it a little more time and see if it becomes a little more mainstream, and maybe then we'll start messing with it. Another question about cams. With these bigger regrinds, you're keeping the VVT on the 4200, correct? At least on the exhaust side. Will those regrinds be set it and forget it? We're going to try and keep the VVT, but it's all going to be dictated by...
The dyno numbers tell us what to do.
But it's also going to be dictated with, are the valves going to hit the pistons? We got to make sure that there's not going to be issues with that.
Hello from Connecticut.
Hello. So a VK56 with 8 HP max ECU would be your best bet. Absolutely. They by far have the most economical solution for the 8 HP, so yes. I've seen stories of what happens to lottery winners. It's not fun. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just sad. It's just really like,
yeah.
It's just, I don't know, people just need to find hope in other ways, in my opinion. Okay. There was a time I took international visitors to a casino, and they didn't then have them in their countries. I did walk out $11.50 richer, which I promptly used to buy a ticket to Japan. Well, you're probably one of the few people who came out richer than when you entered. So, if you can practice it and do it in a healthy way, then by all means. It's not like I think it should be illegal. I'm not a fan of it for myself. Holly Carbs, born in PA. Really? Holly Carburetors were born in PA?
I don't know, but a lot of things came from Pennsylvania. So
yeah, Studebaker came from Pennsylvania. So yeah, there you go. I like to examine traffic flow to gauge where I'm going to sit and drop my quarters. Okay. Not sure what that's related to or
casino gambling.
Ah, got it. Okay. So he's got a strategy. He knows how to beat the system. Okay. All right. It's all good, Chance. Yeah, it's all good. When will we see more North Star content? We get asked about that a lot. And all I can say is in the future. I don't know. I wish there was more time in the day. Because it's currently the car is sitting in the garage and I walk by it every single day. And every time I walk by it, I'm like, man, that's such a cool project. I want to work on it. But there's like 18 other things that I got to work on, and it hurts me too. So I'm afraid to share tunes because people might have problems and try to blame me for it, or am I being paranoid? I wouldn't call that paranoia at all. For me, it's just like a take it or leave it, use at your own risk kind of thing. If it doesn't work for you, I would not call myself a tuner. I can make stuff work, and we can make it work pretty well. But it's yeah. Your mileage may vary. I had a North Star 7.5 years ago. Discovered a way to decarbon it that is very effective and doesn't risk a ticket. And it is much easier on the transmission. Cool. Cool.
Cat lives matter.
Yes, my cat is sitting right there. I think he's talking about catalytic converters, but I choose to take it that way. Hey, we just hit 145,000 subscribers. Thanks everybody for subscribing.
Hi Cameron.
Hi Cameron. Do y'all have an opinion on the early 2000s 3100 V6? I heard that they were just a 2.9 and were bad about bearings. So that's a 60-degree V6.
Yes.
Do you have any opinions on the 60-degree V6?
I'd like to tear into one and check them out. I enjoyed seeing what they were doing with those. I think they were called Lumina. I'm fascinated by every engine.
Yeah.
Every engine has positives and negatives. There are some that have more negatives, and that's what paints a dark cloud over their existence. But for the size of it, and the support, the parts that were around it from the factory, I think it's something that could be fun to try, just to try it. But we're not going to, sell the whole program to get there.
Yeah, as far as like a V6 goes, choosing 60 degrees as your bank angle is not really the most favorable thing, because your split pin has to be pretty far. It has to be 60 degrees in order to get the even fire from the engine.
That's a 90 degree. That has the split pin.
No, 60 does as well.
Not all.
Okay, well then that would be an odd fire. I know that the GTR and like the Nissan 60-degree V6s have a split pin.
Yeah, and see, I don't want to interject a bad comment there, because I remember when it was non-split pin, and I remember when the odd fires came out.
No, that would be odd
fires. And
It would have to be a bank angle of 120 degrees to be a non-split pin and
Right.
be even fire.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Nissan, the VQ 35s and the VR 38s, they're getting some pretty impressive performance out of those. I would obviously have concerns of doing that with a GM. You know, it never was turbocharged. It wasn't really intended for a high performance engine, but that would be my concern with that. Is that split pin, would that reveal any issues?
Well, they do.
I'm sure they would. Uh, I hear you on the genie pig stuff.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. Yeah. Hey man, getting old is not for the faint of heart. He's 60. Well, glad you're still with us and keep on keeping on. The Holly brothers were in PA. Really? Okay. So the Holly brothers, who started Holly, were in PA. That's pretty cool. They actually made a car too. Huh. I will have to look that up. The 3100 SFI is a pretty decent engine, not a powerhouse, but the bottom end is pretty strong. So you could turbocharge it. You could turbocharge anything. You could turbocharge your lawnmower.
No.
Oh. I have some experience with the GM 60 degree V6. The third gen ones were very good, and the high value engine that replaced it is as well. The high feature, I think, is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, the high feature is definitely a good engine.
Well, yeah, that one, I may or may not own one of those, and I may or may not have plans for it. I don't have plans for it, but I do own one. 60 degree V6 does not have a split pin on the crank. If it's even fire, I don't think that's right. I mean,
we're gonna look it up after.
Okay.
The split
V6
pin I thought was 60 or 90s, but
I'm gonna look it up because
okay.
High feature V6 crankshaft. Boink. That has a split pin. Yep. Here you go. Doink. Well, that's a Buick V6, so that is not.
Yeah, that's a 90.
Hang on. This is a Equinox 3.4 liter high feature V6, and that is a split pin. See it? So yeah, that's a very heavy split because it would have to be 60 degrees apart to make it even fire.
Yeah, that's
yeah. You can see there's main journal, and there's the two split. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right. All right. Iron block and cross-bolted mains too on the. I assume you're talking about the old school 60 degree V6s. Do you know of a fluid damper or someone is coming out with that on the Atlas series engines? Also, can you put a 3700 head on a 3500 block? Yes, you can.
Yes.
I think that the what's the company? Western Innovators West. I believe that's a fluid damper, and they do make a damper for the 4200. So check them out. The high feature replaced the high value. Okay, all right. I need to get up to speed on my GM engines. If you want to hear some really interesting AHP stuff, listen to the HP Academy Tuned In podcast 163. They talked to Greg from Turbolamic for 2 hours. I think I listened to that one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did listen to that one. The high feature. Yeah, okay. My bad, guys. I didn't know that the high value V6 was a thing. I'm sorry. What is the thing with pushrod engines? A lot of people I know do have problems with this, with cracked rockers and failed ones. Since I'm not from the state, don't know what type of engines LS is a common. Cracking rockers on an LS is definitely not common.
No, we've never had a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
you'll see, we stay under 625 lift.
Yeah.
So getting up close to 700 lift, it's probably an issue. But we've
when you start running 1 inch of lift, I'm sure you start having issues with that. But
I don't think you can with a small block.
Yeah, I'm just like Steve Morris had a lifter, the shaft broke and it twisted. Mm-hmm. I don't know, when you run lots of lift and lots of RPM, bad stuff can happen, and it doesn't matter what kind of engine it is. The overhead cam stuff is definitely better for like valve train mass, but yeah, it's when you're trying to have a cam in the block and you have a bunch of push rods and a rocker arm, like that stuff's heavy and it takes energy to move it, and the 60-degree V6 has a separate crank pin for each cylinders. The pins are not offset like a 90-degree engine. Okay. Oh, so he's saying instead of it being a split pin, it has like a separate. Okay. Well, I would call that a split pin, but I hear what you're saying. You guys should look into the M119 series Mercedes V8s from 1990 to 99. In the junkyard, 4 valves, VVT, 10 to 1 and 11 to 1 over square engines. Yeah, that sounds attractive.
I can see one in the future, but it's going to be number 16 in the order.
Yep. Dr. Art, he stopped in and he says, no tech questions, just stopping in to say hi. Hello.
And that's something that, going back to the question on the Mercedes, I hope people are enjoying the variety and that we're not just wrapped around one brand and one design, that we're trying to explore different things. The ultimate goal is to have everybody's eyes open to all the variants, types of engines that are out there, and not having a closed mind to it. The hobby in general is lending itself to having more variety in it and not being so much of a stick in the mud. And that's it's neat to see that change as younger people getting involved. They're wanting to simplify things. They're wanting to get.
We were going to talk about that,
and we're going to a little bit.
We never actually got to that subject, huh? Do you want to introduce that?
Well, it's and I wish I had the person's name.
It was War on Beauty was the channel.
Yes.
War on Beauty.
She had a fantastic video and talked about, the cultural changes in the hobby, and there's a lot of older folks that are committed to the older, it's small block Chevy, flatheads forever. Those people still exist. Mm-hmm. And they hate the LS. And then there's the LS everything, LS the world folks. And there's a huge gap in time where there's people that are just, they're not going to do anything more than want to watch videos. And then you've got the Gen Zers who are getting involved in the sport and the hobby. And her evaluation was absolutely fascinating to watch. And there's some folks who have tried to piggyback the popularity of her video, and we don't want to do that, but we want to acknowledge the fact that there is a change in our in the hobby, in the automobile community that needs to be recognized. Some of us older guys need to realize that, as recently as the last few weeks, the amount of time we've spent talking about older technology has been a lot of fun, because a lot of experience that I have, I can share with you, and that's something that I hope continues, and we're seeing it in the younger people.
Yeah, and I think one of her points was specifically about how newer technology is not as accessible as the older technology. And how like a lot of newer technology is they're actually designing it so that you can't service it. You have to take it to the dealer, or
and I'm totally against that.
Yeah.
The thought that they could shut my car off is not something I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, and modern vehicles, are connected to the internet now, where you can be surveilled at any point, and if they decide that you said something bad on the internet, they can shut you off.
Yep.
And cars are a symbol of freedom.
Yep.
Or at least they used to be.
It's America.
It's it's the American way. It's the it's the the set of wings.
Yep.
You should be able to go and do stuff whatever you want, and you shouldn't have to worry about Big Brother watching you.
Yeah. Got to find out there's a camera in the rear view mirror on the new cars. I can't even pick my nose in private. Good gravy. It's amazing how invasive the technology has become, and this bend towards a simpler life. I applaud it.
Yeah, my takeaway from her video also was there's been this movement towards older technology, and specifically like if you look at a points distributor, you can see everything happen in that points distributor related to the ignition. You can see how the points open and close. There's a little cam that moves the points in and away from one another and activates charges and discharges the coil. There's everything that happens in that process you can look at and see it. Whereas modern vehicles, you can't look at a piece of silicon, for your integrated circuit under a microscope and try to figure out what the heck is going on in there. The fact that you can physically see the mechanical process happen, I'm sure that's attractive to a lot of people. And, I was also talking to Dad about this, earlier this week, a carburetor, you can see if we wanted to make a carburetor, we could. With enough energy, you could analyze how the circuitry and all the orifices and that sort of thing. You could reverse engineer how a carburetor works. Okay, now try to make an ECU for your car. Obviously somebody brought up Russify earlier. They're trying to do that, and it's very admirable, but it's a lot more daunting than something mechanical. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. But
Atwood's Garage, we have bad news for you. Sunday's event has been canceled.
Yep. Where are you at? Where is Where's Atwood's garage?
Down towards the bottom here.
Okay. Trying to pick up where we left off.
Yeah. Well, we've been at it for over 2 hours, and
Yep.
um,
do you know if the gentleman that put a 4200 in a GMC S15 Jimmy, if it was rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? I believe it was rear-wheel drive. Yeah, I think that was rear-wheel drive. Would the Innovators West balancer work on the 3500 as well? It will bolt up. The question is it tuned for the right frequency for where the engine is operating? I'm not sure. I would imagine no, because you have less cylinders, so ideally it should be tuned for a lower frequency, depending on where you plan to rev the engine. But yeah, it would bolt up. I think it's cool that you guys are trying different things. Of course, people will say, "But what about this engine?" But it's all good. Yeah, we try to
open mind.
Yeah, try to keep an open mind.
We look at it, try and get to the junkyard, see what the volume is. We do some, preliminary evaluation, but a lot of searching on the internet. Does it even make sense to do it?
Mm-hmm. I like watching videos because it's cheaper than doing it myself. Well, I think all of us have been there.
As long as you're watching, binge watching Nivlac 57, it's all good.
And liking and buying subscribing t-shirts. And buying t-shirts and hitting the hype button. I appreciate the support, but
absolutely,
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't have the money or the, that was like my college. When I went to college, that was basically what I did, was just, I felt trapped up there a lot of times. So it was like, I couldn't really like go out and wrench. So I'd watch videos to try and get my brain working. You might want to also look into the 3-valve Mercedes V12 turbo motors, same weight and physical size as an LS, stock forged crank and rods. I'd love to do a V12 someday. And the 3-valve stuff definitely is intriguing. I always wondered why that never took off.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to do Ford V10 at some point.
Yeah, that would be neat.
I like the size. I like the, everything about it is appealing to me.
Yeah. You guys need to tell Whitaker to actually finish some projects. There is a reason I drive a 2006 H3. I can do anything I want with it. If I don't have a cell phone with me, no one knows where I am. Yeah, I think Jonathan has he's busy being a dad, and I think that's
noble.
Pretty awesome.
That is noble.
Yeah. After you go around the clock and stop at every number, you realize that being at 12 north is always the best. I see what you're trying to say. Yeah, Michael said the same thing. Yep, John is busy being a dad. Old school is always the best.
I like it. I like it all.
Yeah, I like it all too.
I like the modern technology on older stuff.
Yeah, the sad, another thing from the War on Beauty video, I made this comment to you the other day. It's like, they've been adding all these cameras to the cars, and all the cameras were pointing out to help you park your car or add self-driving. And it's been really scary to see that a lot of the cameras are starting to be added pointing in towards the occupants of the vehicle. And I'm not a fan of that. That's, you shouldn't be monitoring the status of the driver. Mind your own dang business.
Yep.
All right. Well, it is 9:05. Hello from Melbourne, Australia. unfortunately, we're about to sign off, but hello.
Yep.
Hello, goodbye.
So, do you think you're going to get the Hot V Dino video out for Sunday? We're going to leave them anticipating,
I'm going to
or
try. Yeah, I'm going to try.
it's the next video up, so.
Oh my. Okay, I feel like we have to answer this one.
Okay.
Could you share some tips for a guy with a 1968 Buick Electra trying to reach 150 miles per hour in a standing mile?
Oh my. Well, your biggest problem with the Buick, in my opinion, is going to be pumping the oil out of the pan into the top of the head. So before you do anything, make sure that you look at your oil pan capacity and put a AccuSump on the thing. Wow, that's a big old girl. 150's fast.
Boost.
Yeah,
Lots of
boost is your friend.
Yes.
And 68, you're still dealing with small valves, so I would probably focus on gas altered and not gas coupe, so that you can close off and change a little bit of the arrow to try and help that package. I would try and figure out how to stay in the torque curve and not focus on the horsepower as much. To try and keep the engine alive.
Pretty steep gears.
Yeah, he's gonna want like a 256 gear ratio as opposed to normally for a standing mile we're running 325s, but we run small block Chevys. But you're going to want to kill the RPM and keep some of that oil in the oil pan.
It's an LS.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, suddenly it became a lot easier.
Yeah.
I would go with the bigger turbo. 7875 is a little small. With land speed racing, you don't really have to be concerned a whole lot with spooling the turbo as much.
Yeah.
But it's 308 gears. That should do.
That'll work good.
Yeah.
And then again, I would strongly suggest going gas altered and block things off, and then maybe even consider a water tank to go with the radiator, so that you can block off more of the air flowing through the grill.
Yep. I think cooling is going to be probably one of the greater.
It's only a mile.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
It's not a big deal. An oversized radiator may have enough volume just to heat soak the thing, but as soon as you make the pass, you're going to want to get that hood opened up and get the heat out of there.
Yep.
All
right. Time to call it. I just wanted to get that last one in there because I thought it was fun. All right. That's been the Living Late Podcast, episode 6. See you guys in the next one.
Thank you, guys.